Welcome to the XP Team USA podcast. We're digging the plugs and pinpointing the topics you want to hear.
And now, here's your hosts, Dave Kimball and Grant Hansen.
This show is brought to you by XP Metal Detectors. XP Metal Detectors is a high-end, innovative metal detector company with great machines and great pinpointers. For more information, go to xpmetaldetectors.com. For a dealer near you, try a Google search or go to xpdeus-usa.com. Hello and welcome to another episode of XP Team USA podcast. I'm your host, Dave Kimball, coming to you from Central Oklahoma, and I am joined today by my co-host, Grant Hansen, coming to you from New Jersey. How's it going, Grant?
Everything's going good. How's everything with you?
Pretty good. It was nice today. It was in the 60s today. If I had the time, I would have loved to have been out metal detecting today.
I am so jealous. You know, I was very much looking forward to March, and March 1st we got hit with snow, and then we got hit with more snow, and now it's like 16 degrees. Like it's worse now that it's March than it was in January or February, but I'm hoping as the weeks go on, it's going to get into the 50s, maybe just the 50s. That'll be fine enough for me.
Yeah, 50 is still pretty good. How long does it usually take for your ground to start thawing out?
I would say about a week or so. As long as it doesn't get freezing back overnight, it has a better chance of thawing out, really depending on where you are.
Yes, we never have our ground freeze over here. So
yeah, you're lucky. Some properties I'm on, and it could vary on the same property. The part of the lawns that get a lot of sunlight, those thaw much quicker than the ones that are in the shade. They'll stay frozen a lot longer.
Well, we got a great show for everybody, and hope everybody enjoys it. We got our XP Team USA field rep from Utah, Andrew Benson. And we also got Brian Harvey with the Digger's Den, our dealer of the month for the month of March.
Yeah, I'm very excited to talk to both of these gentlemen. I mean, Andrew Benson goes way back as a metal detectorist. He's, detected some really cool properties, he's found a bunch of gold in the form of coins and nuggets, and just really interested in learning from him. And Brian Harvey of the Digger's Den, I mean, he's such a nice guy, and he's got some really interesting hobbies, and he's a very interesting person. So I think it's going to be a great conversation with him. And Brian with the Digger's Den, they are our dealer of the month, and they're hosting a contest to give away an XP coil of your choice. That's right, any XP coil you want. So stay tuned till the end of the show because we'll give you instructions on how to enter.
Yeah, that's awesome. This month, not only do you have a chance to win an XP coil from us, but you got another chance to win an XP coil. You get a chance to win 2 XP coils from XP Team USA. So check out our Facebook group page, and you can find Sonia's post on there with her giveaway with XP Metal Detectors America.com and our giveaway with the podcast for a coil of your choice.
Yeah, March is going to be a great month for contests. I mean, these coils are awesome. I think whoever wins them is going to be very, very happy, and especially that they get the choice of which one they want, whether it's the stock, the HF coil, the X35, and the different sizes. A really good opportunity for somebody who wins.
Right, and it's a great value, too, because them coils are not cheap.
That is true. That's very true.
And if you got just the old black coil, even the X35 coils, whole new game. And even, in the high frequency coils, a whole different machine pretty much.
It really is. And what's cool about it is when you make those changes from the stock coil, it opens up those properties that you may have considered hunted out. It gives you a new opportunity to kind of go explore, and maybe the new coils and the new frequencies are going to pick something up that you missed. So it actually has benefits in more ways.
Yeah, and don't forget to head over to the XP Team USA YouTube page. We've been adding a lot of short videos lately. A lot of our team members have been making their own videos and putting it on there. And we're about to release our new XP Team USA show.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that. As far as the short clips, I've actually got a couple on there. Hopefully, if you get a couple minute break and during the day, you want to just clear your head, head on over to the YouTube page and check them out. They're easy to digest, and then you can get back to your day.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of yours. They're pretty good.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
And also check out out XP Skill School with Gary Blackwell. He does a lot of cool instructional videos. He just released a new one, him checking out his sonar program. And if you want to get some depth, that's a good program to use.
Yeah, I was just watching that, and he's finding some really good stuff off the bat. It's just making me jealous, been cooped up in my house and just seeing somebody out there finding some nice things. I also discovered there's a lot of videos on the ORX doing various demonstrations from pinpointing to different settings. So definitely worth checking that out.
Yeah, and if you get in a mood to listen to another great podcast, go over there and listen to Beyond Sight and Sound with Josh Kimmel every Sunday and Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern.
All right, so I think it's time to bring on our first guest.
All right, well, we'll be right back with Andrew Benson. If you are needing the highest quality digging tool for metal detecting, then check out Predator Tools. Their digging tools are made from chromoly 4130 and heat treated and tempered to ensure the highest quality product. Predator tools are made in the USA and are also used in the United States military. All of their tools carry a 5-year warranty and are proven to be the toughest out there. So check out Predator Tools at predatortools.com. We'd like to welcome Andrew Benson to our show. Andrew is an XP Team USA field rep out of Utah. Welcome to the show, Andrew.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
Yeah, welcome, and thanks for joining us. You live in the beautiful state of Utah. I'd love to get out there someday and explore and detect. There must be a lot of good things to find out there.
Yeah, there's a wide variety of detecting opportunities out here. You know, everything from when the pioneers first settled in the late 1840s, you know, all the way up to the present. You know, there's military artifacts and camps and, you know, plenty of parks and things like that, if that's what you like to do.
Yeah, so our listeners would like to get to know you a little bit more. Can you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I've been metal detecting since I was probably about 13. Started back in the 70s when my dad got me into it. That probably dates me, but, you know, in the early years, I wasn't really that interested in metal detecting. You know, I went off and on and until later on, you know, in probably my 20s or 30s, did I really get a lot more interested in it. I'm married, got 2 kids. My wife and I own our own business doing marketing type things, promotional products, which involves like screen printing and embroidery, you know, printing mugs and pens and things like that. Hobbies I like anything to do with the outdoors pretty much. I like hiking and fishing and camping and riding 4-wheelers and, of course, metal detecting.
Right. Yeah, and you mentioned you started detecting in the 70s with your dad. You must have seen a lot of technology upgrades over the years. What kind of sticks out to you the most?
I think the thing that sticks out the most is probably the speed of the processors. I mean, White's in the early years when they had the 6000 series detectors, I mean, those things were pretty quick. In fact, you had to move them quick to discriminate, but I don't think they had that good a separation. And so I think that's the biggest thing I've seen over the years is the processing speeds of the detectors and their ability to find co-located targets next to each other. And also, you know, you've got the weight issue too. I mean, you know, the detectors back then, they were just wrist and arm breakers, you know, a couple hours swinging one of those and you were done for the day.
Yeah, I bet.
So you mentioned you had kids. Do they ever get out and detect with you?
I've got a daughter that's got a learning disability. She likes to get out. She likes to just go to the park, and she used to have her own detector, but doesn't really like using it anymore. So mainly what she does is just, you know, goes around with me and I'll find a target and she'll dig it or I'll dig it. And, you know, she likes that kind of stuff. My son he goes out, but gets disinterested pretty quick. We'll go on like hikes or 4-wheeler rides or something like that, take the detectors along. I'll stop at a foundation and start detecting, and, you know, he will too. And about 10 minutes later, he's back on his bike racing off somewhere. So, you know, it's probably about the way I was at that age. So, you know, he may get more interested as time goes on.
Yeah, I was going to say 10 minutes, not so bad. My daughter, who's 6, she's under that right now, but slowly but surely we'll start adding on those minutes.
Yeah.
So you mentioned a little bit before, but what kind of detecting does Utah offer you? And like, what do you prefer? Do you like ghost towns, mining areas, farm fields? Where do you get at the most?
Well, I can tell you where I don't like to go. Most mainly, and that's I do not like park hunting, and I don't like asking permission at houses. I prefer relic or ghost town hunting, and relic hunting can include, there are some farm fields and pastures that I'll hit, and ghost towns are mainly around here, desert or mountain environment, and that's the kind of stuff I like. I mean, I like to get out away from people. For the most part, when we go to parks with my daughter, I mean, you end up answering more questions and spending more time with onlookers than you do actually detecting a lot of the time. And it's not that I don't like not doing that. It's just that, when you're out there and you've got a certain amount of time you can spend, it's hard when people come up and start asking a lot of questions.
Yeah, I've been there for sure. When it comes to ghost towns, do you just go on, or do you need permission for the ghost towns?
So the ghost towns, BLM is like a bad word around here. You don't want to go on BLM property. I mean, they're pretty strict in Utah. I mean, I've heard a lot of other states you can get away with hunting on public land. In Utah, you don't want to do that unless you're hunting for gold nuggets. So the ghost towns that I have permission to go on are privately owned for the most part. And one ghost town in particular is probably about, it's still sectioned off in lots. Our club has hunted there enough that the multiple property owners there don't care. And it's actually under a lease with one of the mining companies as well. So, they're open to it and you don't get bothered. There are some ghost towns that are out on the desert that are out on BLM that best just to leave them alone. So
you're a pretty outdoorsy guy, and living in Utah must suit you pretty well. Do you get a lot of opportunities to get out and go hiking and camping?
Yeah, I live practically. I can be in the mountains in 30 minutes here. I'm that close, so we have a ton of opportunity to go out and ride. I mean, I've got the mountains to the east of me that I can get to in 30 minutes, and I've got the desert to the west of me that I can be to in 45 minutes. So there's a ton of opportunity for outdoor recreation here. I mean, I could be to a ski resort in 45 minutes if I still skied, but knees just don't last doing that for very long.
Yeah, it seems like you got a ton of variety out there, which is really, really nice. And like David, you like fishing quite a bit too. What do you go out and angle for?
I like fly fishing on rivers, which there's a lot of that around here. I also like bass fishing. The bass fishing here, though, you go south down to Lake Powell. I'm sure a lot of people have heard of that. And we'll usually go down there and spend 4 or 5 days. I go with a pack of buddies that usually we take about 4 or 5 boats, 4 people on a boat, and we'll drive down into the remote canyons that are down there that are available and just spend 4 or 5 days just doing nothing but fishing from sun up to sundown.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, when I was a kid, my family and I went camping at Lake Powell, and we wound up, our boat ran out of gas, and we had to get towed there was one of these sightseeing, little ferries or whatever. It had to tow us a couple miles to get some gas, but it's beautiful out there.
Yeah, beautiful canyon.
I've always loved bass fishing, but I always wanted to try fly fishing one of these days. I might get into that someday. Sounds like it'd be pretty fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
It looks like an art, too. It's kind of like there's grace to it and, the motion. It doesn't look easy.
Yeah, it's not real easy. I mean, you can do some fly fishing where you don't have to learn to cast like that, where you're using like streamers and you're basically just letting your fly float down through a hole and stripping it back towards you. Mm-hmm. But there is a lot that goes into it, reading the water, learning how to cast, learning how to mend your line, what type of flies to use, looking at the insects that are on the bank and knowing what to put on to entice them to strike, things like that.
Yeah, there is a lot that goes into it. We'll be back with Andrew Benson right after this. XP has introduced its new ORX machine, a high-end machine at a mid-range price. The ORX has 4 factory preset programs, 2 gold, 2 coins, also 2 user programs. The ORX comes with a high-frequency coil and is compatible with the X35 coils. The ORX is now available in the USA. And we're back with Andrew Benson, XP Team USA member from Utah. You know, when we ask people what's on top of their bucket list or metal detecting, a usual reply we get is a gold coin. And now that you've found one, and not just one, but 6 of them, can you tell us a little bit about the gold coins that you found?
Okay, well, the first one that I found was back in the fall of 2016, and it was totally unexpected. In fact, this signal was, it was one of those where I wasn't even sure there was anything in the ground. It was just a chirp, and I was getting a signal probably every third swing, and I really didn't expect it to be a gold coin. When I dug it up, I was totally surprised. Thought I would never find one in my life, you know, like a lot of people do. But once I found that first gold coin, I started to research a lot more on places, the mentality and things like that go into finding, you know, it could be a gold coin, it could be anything. I mean, it could be a gold ring, it could be a gold nugget, you know, things like that. And I mean, I think there's, you know, people say you're lucky, but there's also factors that play into being lucky. If you're prepared and do some research, you know, you're a lot more likely to find something like a gold coin. So, I mean, like for me, one of the top things is research. You know, you got to do research, and I'll just talk about gold coins in particular. I mean, you got to go to a place that's going to have gold coins. You know, places like military camps are probably the best because military, especially old military, pre-1900, only carried gold and silver coins because they were usually packing them, you know, to different camps and things like that. They had to have larger denomination coins to pay the troops. It's also very easy for a soldier to lose their pay. You know, they were in tents or not permanent structures, moving a lot. So that's one of the best places. But then there's also like mining camps, amusement parks, beach resorts, or places that the rich went to. You know, you had poor farmers and stuff like that. Most of the time around their farms, you're going to find, you know, copper coins, low denomination copper coins. So you have to go to these places that there was a lot of money exchanged and there were wealthy people that went to them. You know, in particular mining camps, a lot of the miners got paid in gold and silver, with the exception of coal mining camps. A lot of the times they were paid in script or company money. But then you've also got to be willing to dig a lot of junk targets. I mean, if you think about $1 gold coins on the days, if I remember right, they read maybe 54, 55. I mean, how many people dig low signals like that? You know, most of the time it's aluminum or 22 casings, things like that. So
right.
You know, you've got to be willing to dig the junk targets. And then finally, I think you got to believe that you can find a gold coin. And if you go out with that mindset every time, I'm going to find one today, and you keep doing that, eventually you're going to find one.
Yeah, I think that's really, really good advice. And like you say, go to where there's a good chance of them being versus, you know, an area where there might not have been people who are wealthy or getting paid and things like that. When it comes to mining camps, what are the conditions like? Is the ground really hard? You have to bring different digging tools? Is it laborious?
Usually mining camps are full of junk. One thing, tons of nails and sheet tin, old cans, things like that. And the ground is generally pretty hard. I mean, you usually don't find stuff very deep unless it was, you know, buried by people moving dirt in the area. I mean, a lot of the stuff that I found in ghost towns and mining camps are less than 2 inches deep. But a lot of times I'll take a rake with me and rake the tin cans away from an area, or the nails, and, you know, using a magnet, and then go over an area because, I mean, iron and tin, as everybody knows, mass coins pretty well.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you found your fair share of silver coins as well. Would that be right?
Yeah. I mean, because I hunt relics, I don't find as many silver coins. You know, not like going to a house or a park where, you know, you can find a ton of them. Relic hunting, I mean, I don't really care that much about coins to begin with. I would much rather go out and find bullets and buttons and things like that. It's just my personal preference. But, you know, I'll take a coin if I find it, obviously. And I do like finding gold coins. But, you know, most of the silver coins that I like to find are going to be like seeded or cap bust. You know, the newer coins don't really interest me that much. I'm a lot of people they interest. I'm just more into relic hunting.
Mm-hmm. And what about like tokens? If the miners at the camp got paid in tokens, do you ever find any of those?
Yeah, find quite a few tokens. In fact, I found one last week. It was from a city here in Utah called Lehigh. It was from one of the cooperatives. It was a $1 token. I think I looked it up in the book, and it was worth about $75. But I really do like finding tokens too.
Yeah. So what about that really cool railroad lock that you found? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I think this has been 15 years ago. I found a railroad lock from a railroad here that wasn't in operation for very long. This is a Western railroad. So there's the Denver and Rio Grande Railroad, which I think most people have probably heard of even back east. And this was actually from the Rio Grande Railway, which was a small branch operation of the Denver and Rio Grande. And I found it in a coal mining, well, it was a terminus for a coal mining camp. It was actually where they switched engines. After they'd climbed a steep hill, they switched engines out, and then so that they could go on, the rest of the journey. They didn't need all the engines anymore. And it was actually bottle digging that day, and I actually had jumped in a hole that someone had already been digging, and there was a chain sticking out of the side of the hole. And so I grabbed onto it and pulled it, and there was a lock on the end. And until about 2 years ago, I didn't even know what it was worth. I just kept it in my stuff, and I was on the internet one day, and I saw this lock, and I was like, wow, that looks almost like the lock I have. And it was listed for $7,000.
Wow.
So I contacted the company that was selling it, and they told me to send them a picture of the one I had, and it was a little bit different. The lock that was worth $7,000 had like a fisheye or dimple design on it, and mine was plain. But the guy said, if you want to sell it, I'll give you $2,000 for it. It's probably worth $3,000, but it needs to be restored. And I was like, I'm not into railroad stuff, so I was like, fine, I'm going to sell it, and I'll use it to buy another metal detector. So that's what I did.
Nice. That's great. It's great when the hobby can help pay for itself.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and I generally don't sell stuff, but if I'm not really into, collecting a particular item, I mean, you only have so much room in your house, so, why not sell it and do something else with the money?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I promise you, I have dug my fair share of pull tabs and low conductors, and I still have never found gold. But maybe one day. But you found a really fancy gold ring, is that right? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I've found, a couple hundred gold rings over the years, but this particular ring that really stands out that I still have, I was at a beach and dug up this ring, and it was an 18-karat gold with an amethyst on it, but the artwork or workmanship of the gold was just astounding. I mean, it's unreal. It's just, hand carved, and it's just a beautiful ring that stands out as probably one of the best ones I've ever found. And it's not real heavy, but it's very ornate, and it's just a really pretty ring.
If you have a chance, post a picture of it to the XP Team USA Facebook page so that we can check that out.
Okay.
So do you ever get to travel out of state to go detecting, or get out to do any group digs?
Yeah, I've been to Nevada and Wyoming, Idaho. Recently I just started, for the last couple of years, started going to the Digging in Virginia events back in Culpeper, Virginia. In fact, I'm leaving in 3 weeks to go to another one, and
cool.
They're going to go for the whole week this time. They usually have 4 hunts a year. They're 2 hunts back to back over the course of a week. I really enjoy those. I mean, you don't, if you're going there to think you're going to find a Civil War item that's going to pay for the trip, it's not a good idea to count on that. But to go back and, I don't live back there, so I don't have very many opportunities to dig Civil War relics. And so for me, it's worth it to go back there. And, I've made some friends back there, and get out on the battlefields or the winter camps and just, enjoy a nice long vacation of metal detecting. So I've started to enjoy that quite a bit.
Yeah, I've heard the group digs down there are really good. I'm hoping to check one out soon and get on some good land, because up in New Jersey, we get Revolutionary War era stuff, Civil War era stuff, but we don't really find too many Civil War artifacts up here. So it'd be kind of cool to, find some bullets and other things from the actual war.
Yeah.
So with all of your 6 gold coins, hundreds of gold rings, and all these other great finds, is there anything that's topping your bucket list right now that you haven't found yet?
I haven't found a breastplate or a box plate or even a buckle. That's probably at the top of my list right now. I mean, there are other things I'd like to find too, like a cannonball, which this last Saturday I was out with 4 friends metal detecting, and one of them found a cannonball. So that was pretty cool. You know, there are some things like that I mean, I hadn't even dug a J-hook until a couple of weeks ago. That was one of the small items on my bucket list, and finally fulfilled that. So they're probably the top of my list is like a breastplate or a box plate or a belt plate of some sort.
Most of y'all may have already seen our T-shirts, our gray T-shirts that are XP Team USA that Dave's been giving away, and a lot of our team members have been wearing. A lot of y'all don't know that Andrew Benson here is the one who makes those T-shirts. Can you talk about a little bit about your printing business? Yeah,
so my wife started the business back in 1983. I married into it in 1991, and for the most part, when I married into it, it was more of a hobby. And you know, when we got married, I said we either got to make this thing work as a business or we've got to quit doing it, because we both had jobs, and then we would go at night and print orders. So we worked for about 4 years to get to the point where first my wife quit her job and was there full time, and then I later quit my job and went to work full time doing that. Now I've, some of these economy downswings and stuff like that, I have had to go get, jobs to supplement. But for the most part, it's been a good productive business for the last 30 something years that we've been in business. It's been good.
That's great. Yeah, and I can tell everybody that the T-shirts are fantastic. They're comfortable. They fit nice. They look like they belong on you versus 8 sizes too big and boxy. So I really enjoy wearing my shirt.
Right. They're good things.
So if you were ever given a one-day pass to hunt anywhere in the United States that's previously been off limits to metal detecting, where would you go?
Gosh, I've heard this question before, and I've thought, I would like to go there. And now that you've asked me again, I've kind of come to a blank. But let me think real quick here. Gosh, I would have to say probably one of the Civil War battlefields that's off limits now, like Gettysburg or something like that would probably be one of the coolest things. And I wouldn't even care if I kept any of it. It'd just be nice to go there and dig it up and donate it to a museum.
Yeah, it'd be nice to save that history. I mean, I understand why it's protected, but I think we could also learn a lot and appreciate a lot of the artifacts that could come out of grounds like that.
Yeah, I mean, if you read much about the Civil War and really get into it, I mean, there were some major sacrifices that were made during that war. And when you get out on those battlefields or in those winter camps and find stuff, it's just like, geez, this is part of some U.S. history that was very difficult at the time for everyone. Mm-hmm. And it really makes you appreciate, the freedoms that you have.
Yeah, you're right. It was great talking to you today, and I learned a lot about gold coins and everything, and we'd love to have you back again sometime.
Okay, yeah, it was nice talking to you, and glad to be part of the team.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us. I really learned a lot, especially, with your style of detecting out in Utah. That's something that's kind of foreign to me, being on the East Coast. Makes me want to get out there even more.
Yeah, come on out sometime. We'll go do some relic hunting.
Sounds good.
All right, well, we'll see you.
Thanks.
Check us out online at xpdeus-usa.com. This segment is brought to you by Omega Mill Pouches, the official digging pouch of XP Team USA. If you're looking for a rugged, hunt-tested, washable pouch, look no further than Omega Mill. Get on eBay and search Omega Mill Pouches. That's OMEGAMILL.
We'd like to welcome Brian Harvey to our show. Brian comes to us from Virginia and is a dealer with the Digger's Den, who is also the Dealer of the Month. Welcome to the show, Brian.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah, Brian, thanks so much for joining us and being our Dealer of the Month. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself so our listeners can learn a little bit more about you?
Yeah, sure. First of all, glad to be here. Always good talking to you guys. A little bit about me. I kind of got into the hobby about 10 years ago, and just kind of, I think I grabbed an old bounty hunter and that somebody gave me. and just went out hitting the tot lots in the schoolyards. And as I kind of dove into the local history more, I kind of got into the Civil War part of it. And from that point on, it was I'd caught the relic madness, and just been with it ever since, But I'm out of Virginia. My dad, he used to metal detect. I never got to metal detect with him. He passed when he was 59. So he was big into the group hunts and all that. And so that kind of stuck with me. And then I just kind of later on decided to pick up the hobby myself and give it a shot.
So can you tell us a little bit about Digger's Den, which everybody can find at www.dddetectors.com?
Yeah, the Digger's Den, I'll be honest with you, I don't know why I started the Digger's Den. It was, I got 4 kids. I love the hobby. So I'm like, I would like to try to make a little money at it and get my stuff for cheap. I'm just honest with you. That's what it started as, and, who wouldn't want to get the stuff cheap and be able to sell them too? But as it kind of progressively grew, when you sell something to somebody and they get that joy from, and we all know what it's like to order something and wait on it and the excitement. Mm-hmm. And then when they show their appreciation for that, it gives me like a Santa Claus type complex, to actually bring people that joy and to help them out to be successful. And I enjoyed that a whole lot. And I said, well, I'm just going to keep on with this thing. And, it's just the people, the environment. I just love everything about the hobby. I love helping people. I love hearing their stories. I love seeing their success from me helping them out with the machine and putting them in the right stuff to be successful. And I enjoy that more than anything. The money is, it's always secondary. So it's just being part of the hobby on a bigger scale,
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad it brings you so much joy. Now, you mentioned you never got a chance to metal detect with your father, but do any of your kids show an interest in detecting or history?
All 4 of them do, to be honest with you. I have to take them to tot lots, and, they'll go out there and do their thing. They each have their own little machine, and my oldest, he used to be into it a lot. He's 15 now, so he's kind of venturing away from, metal detecting, but I think he'll find his way back. Teenagers are distracted by a lot of things in life, so it's hard to keep them in the game. But they all love it. They all like going out and doing it from time to time with me.
So being from Virginia, you must dig your fair share of Civil War artifacts. What's it like being a detectorist in such a great state?
It's tough, really. It's so much competition here. It ain't nothing for you to drive in a Civil War area and just see people out in fields, on any given weekend. You could just drive around and they're out there. But it's rich with Civil War history. It's rich with a lot of colonial history. So the big challenge of it is the research. If you can get in there, do the deep, hardcore research, you can find spots that are pretty productive. And it really pays off once you do that research and learn more about that area. And then you actually find it. It's a pretty good feeling.
Yeah, I'm sure it must be. And when you're not detecting, you have another form of treasure hunting that you enjoy, which is something I've always wanted to try. You buy storage units, right? And how did you get started in that?
I'll put it to you like this. As a kid, all I did was run through the woods. And, we lived in a lot of farming areas. So, I would venture on other people's properties and sift through the old barns that they never used before. I was an explorer. So I was just looking. I was just naturally curious about old things and just finding old things from a very young age. So as I became an adult, I actually opened 2 antique stores in 2 spots. One was an old mill and one was a older grocery store, small one. But so after that, I did auctions. I still do a lot of auctions, but I did auctions And as I started having more kids, I had to actually do away with the stores because it was medical things, to pay for with having kids and the cost of living and all that. Mm-hmm. So I had to do away with the stores because they were just too much of an investment. And later on, I got back into the storage auctions. It's just fun. It's a lot of work. I find a lot of, jewelry, gold jewelry, and like electronics and stuff, and then a lot of junk too. I'd say for every storage unit I get, I have to end up taking 95% of it to the dump, and that's a lot of dump running.
Yeah.
So what are some of the coolest stuff that you have found in the units?
It's for the most part, the units I find are more household stuff. So, but I find gold jewelry, silver jewelry, coins, and nothing really super extravagant that was awesome or historical or nothing like that. So. It's just stuff you just resell at yard sales, and that's another part of the haggle and all that. That's always fun with people and talking to people. And also when you have yard sales, a lot of local people come to them and they're like, "Yeah, I live down here in that old house down on the corner." I'm like, "Oh yeah, you do, huh? So hey, take my business card. I might be hollering at you in the future." So
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's a great lead generator.
Yeah.
So with 95% of the stuff going into the dumpster, would you say overall you're still in the green with this hobby?
No, probably not. Yeah, it's a tough one. I'm a little bit competitive, so I tend to make mistakes sometimes. Tough losing sometimes. So I'll overbid it. The guys out here, they're kind of, big headed, and it's hard to explain it, but it's just like you see on TV. Mm-hmm. Have you watched Storage Wars?
Oh, yeah. I have. I've seen a few episodes. You, David?
Yeah, I watch that a lot.
It's a lot like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot like that. So, but it's fun. It's just it's fun. My family actually, they enjoy it. My wife and kids, they like going there and sifting through the stuff and seeing what they can find. It's just another treasure hunt.
So another interesting hobby you have is collecting movie props. Do you have a certain genre of movies that you focus on?
That's another thing. It's like movie props are history too, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Millions and millions of people watch these movies, and what's awesome about them is you'll have this one little piece or token from that movie, and it's not like a Civil War bullet where you can find hundreds of thousands of them. You have this one piece from this movie that you can recognize, and nobody else has that, and they actually have a lot of value. So, and they don't lose value. Movie props tend to kind of go up in value, so it's also an investment, Yeah. But I just enjoy having them, and I don't really have nowhere to display them, so it's just kind of scattered in the closet and everywhere else. It's cinematic history,
Yeah, it sounds really cool. What are some of the cooler things in your collection?
I have like I kind of like weird weapons. I've got tons of stuff, but I've got like stuff from the movie Gods of War, like spears, and I got a shield that's on the way from the movie King Arthur, and the movie Noah, where the bad guy had that weapon where he shot it at the elemental monsters and blew them up. It was a special effects weapon, so I have that. And the newest Jumanji, I have some of the cannons they had on the motorcycles. And
wow.
Like Anchorman, I don't know if you've seen Anchorman, but they had that war out in the middle of the city one time, and I got one of those weapons. So I've got all kinds of stuff. I got horror movie props and all kinds of mess, but it's fun.
Was the one from Anchorman? Did you actually get the trident? I remember that one being the funniest.
Oh no, no. The thing I got is like a chair leg with two little sharp things on the end of it, and it's like made out of foam. But you can see it in the movie, so it's still pretty cool.
Do you find these on eBay or?
Nah, I tend to stay away from eBay. I actually get most of my stuff from the UK. Actually, yeah, from a prop place over there. They have prop auctions, and they're pretty well known and high up on the list as far as a trustworthy place to buy them from.
I understand you also used to be into wood carving. So what exactly did you carve?
The wood carving was pine knots. I used to do the what you call wood spirits. And it's the inner knot of the pine. It's real hard. And after the tree dies, that mass of pine knot usually still on the ground. So it's pretty dense. So it's really easy to carve. And I used to carve the little wood spirit faces out of them. And I would do canes and stuff like that. And I love going out in the shed and doing that. And then once I started having the kids once again, you kind of lose that focus when they're out there with you. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you was metal detecting and you had kids kind of pestering you to try it and whatnot, you just kind of lose that focus for the hunt, But yeah, still have all my stuff out there. But after my second kid, I kind of strayed away from it.
Got it. Yeah. I mean, do you think you'll get back into it once your kids get a little bit older and they'll stop pestering you?
Yeah. I kind of held on to everything. So I don't know. I hope so one day. Well, when they're old enough not to pester me.
Yeah. If you have a chance, post some pictures to the XP Team USA Facebook page. I'd love to see some of the stuff you've done.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I will, man. If I could dig it up, that was so long ago. I used to actually sell a lot of that on eBay. So there may be a track record of it somewhere, but I might even have some on a disc I could pull off. But it was pretty fun. It's unique, and it was actually good money selling those things on there. But, yeah. The kids.
So can you talk about a little bit about the first time you dug your first U.S. plate?
Oh, yeah. It took me probably, I think, was 4 or 5 years before I actually finally dug my first U.S. plate. And after watching so many of your friends back then it was more forums before Facebook kind of took over the internet with the, the social media, but it was forums, and you always watch your buddies, throw one, I found a nice plate today. And so, after a few years, you start to get, a little antsy. And I was at a hunt in Tidewater, Virginia. It was a group hunt. I took off away from everybody at the group hunt. This was, I think it was 30 or 40 people at this hunt. And I took off and shot in the other direction and went into the woods up front by the road. And I got into some bullets and a couple buttons. And then my buddy, he was, we had plotted this course. He had shot off and disappeared in the woods. I dug a signal. I just knew it was a can. You know how this story goes.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to digging down, and then all of a sudden, bam, an oval. I just dropped it back in the hole. I didn't even know what it was, if it was a CS plate or a US plate or what. And I seen a guy over. He had somehow got in our area, and I seen him through the woods. And I said, come here, man. Come here. Tell me what this is. I don't even want to look at it. And I done threw my backpack, my jacket off, and was... Yeah, he came over there and looked at it, picked it out the hole, and rubbed it off, and it was a U.S. plate. So I can't even tell you the excitement I had at that moment to get that monkey off my back, man. To finally be able to put a plate up was a pretty awesome feeling. And for that reason, that's probably, my favorite find to date was that first U.S. plate,
Yeah, well, you've got one. I still haven't, so I got to keep being patient. But I'm not down in Civil War territory, but I hope to. So what are some of the other cooler Civil War relics you found in the great state of Virginia?
I found a couple other plates, and my favorite thing to find is artillery. I found a lot of artillery, Confederate buttons, infantry buttons, cavalry buttons. I love my shells. I found a few shells. I found a beautiful unshot reed shell in the rivers up northern Virginia. When we hunt those during the summer, I found a beautiful shell there. That was actually on the cover of American Digger. But I like it all, man. I really the first U.S. plate is always my favorite, but I love that big iron.
So do you ever get to travel outside of the state to do detecting?
I try to. With 4 kids and a regular job and the digger's den and everything else, it's very hard, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard. I want to so bad, but it's just hard for me to do.
I imagine I have 1 kid and it's hard, so times that by 4.
Yeah. They're all into stuff and whatnot. You know, they have stuff on the weekends all the time, little archery tournaments and rope gymnastics tournaments and stuff like that. So it's really hard for me to shoot out. And if I shoot out by myself for 3 days, I get this, you know, this feeling like I shouldn't be out. You know, you get that that dad feeling.
Yeah. I know it well. Yeah. So you found a bunch of cool stuff, really amazing Civil War relics. What's the one thing you haven't found that you're hoping to find? So what's topping your bucket list?
You know this might sound really weird. I want to find a crotal bell.
Huh.
A simple crotal bell. I would love to find a juicy, thick brass crotal bell.
Yeah, it's funny. That's a common one where people they just elude people for some reason, and then once they start coming, they start coming.
Yeah, it's like, but that's a northern thing. You don't find many crotal bells in the South at all. It's very rare to see a crotal bell pop at the ground.
Yeah, especially around here.
Along with shoe buckles and stuff like that. It's just not a common unless you get more towards Eastern Virginia, where some of that earlier colonial action was, but. It's just a crotal bell. It's one of the tops on my list. That and the breastplate. I've never found a breastplate.
Well, come up to New Jersey and I'll take you out some places and hopefully you can find one.
Now, do you find them up there?
I've found about 4 or 5. And my buddy who I go out with, he's found quite a few too. And most of them actually still have the little ringers in them. So once you soak them and get all the mud out, they still work.
That's pretty awesome.
I don't see very many people find them around here in Oklahoma. They're pretty rare around here.
But I do remember my first. I went a couple of years. And I'm like, why can't I find a crotal bell? And then finally I found one and it worked. And I was so excited.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's probably actually one of the top things on my list.
Yeah,
a simple crotal bell.
I actually found a fragment of one, and it wasn't complete, unfortunately. But if it was complete, it probably would have been bigger than a baseball. That's how huge this thing was.
Oh, good grief.
And I looked all over for the rest of it. I just couldn't find it.
Wow.
What's odd is there was a colonial home in Lynchburg. This was November, and I was hunting that. It was about to be taken over by a commercial place. And a guy came to me and said, "Look what I just found." And he opened his hand up, and it was a beautiful little brass crotal bell. And I said, "Dude, that's top of my list." and that one hurt me a little bit. I was happy for him, but I was close.
So I got to ask you this: if you are able to hunt anywhere that's always been off limits to metal detecting, where would you go?
Ooh, man, that's a tough one. That is a tough one. Where would I go? Probably Gettysburg. Off the top of my head, probably Gettysburg. Right in the heart of the action.
Oh
Yeah. I could see a lot of people wanting to get on there for sure. Yeah, that's a big piece of American history there. Yeah. Well, Brian, it was a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for joining us. And I want to let everybody know that as Dealer of the Month, you are actually going to host a contest with us. And we will give the details on how to enter this contest at the end of the show. But Brian is nice enough to give away your choice of XP coils should you win this contest. So thanks to Brian and Digger's Den for that.
Right on, buddy.
Yeah, very cool prize.
I couldn't give them away if it weren't for the customers, so
that's
I
awesome.
don't have a problem with it. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, it was great talking to you, and I'd love to have you back again sometime.
Yeah, very, very interesting other hobbies as well, particularly the woodworking and the Storage Wars stuff. I'm really interested in that.
Yeah.
I gotta try that.
You should try it. Y'all contact me via Messenger. I got some websites that will help you out with that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yep. You can kind of look around your area to see which ones are there. They're online too, so.
All right.
Yeah,
That's great.
That'd be interesting to do. Well, can you let everybody know how they can contact you and if they want to purchase a product, a metal detector or metal detecting gear, or how can they contact you?
You can contact me via Facebook Messenger, the email at dddetectors@yahoo.com. Visit the website at dddetectors.com. So a lot of people know Gypsy Jules. You can contact her. My phone number is 434-665-9753. I don't care what time of the day it is. Give me a call, a message. I'll be there.
Thanks a lot again for helping out, sponsoring us, and being the dealer of the month. And
Absolutely. I appreciate it.
We'll let everybody know how you can win the coil at the end of the show. Thanks.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
thanks again.
Thank y'all.
If you have a question for one of our guests or just like to make a comment, call us at our XP Team USA podcast hotline at 405-294-3602. XP Metal Detectors now introduces the new X35 search coils. Designed around the brand new electronic advances, these new high-performance and versatile coils will allow you to choose from a wide range of frequencies, ranging from 3.7 kHz to 27.7 kHz. In total, there are 35 available frequencies based around 5 main frequencies that are quickly accessible. A new boost mode is now an option on frequencies 3.7 kHz to 4.4 kHz and can significantly increase detection depth on highly conductive targets such as large masses and large silver coins. The new X35 search coils will now be available as option as the same price as the previous coils, and also now will be standard with the brand new diodes. So get your X35 today. All right, well, that was our show today, and it was great talking with Brian Harvey and Andrew Benson.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be. They're two very interesting guys with different backgrounds, and, I really want to get out to Utah and do some digging with Andrew, and Brian really has me starting to think about buying some old storage bins out of auction and see what kind of treasures I can find.
Yeah, really. And if anybody's interested in buying any metal detectors or anything, if you need any gear or metal detectors, get a hold of Brian with Digger's Den. He is our dealer of the month, and he will hook you up and let him know that you heard about it on our podcast.
Yeah, and I can speak firsthand about their customer service and how friendly and fast they are. Highly recommended.
That's right. And I know everybody's been waiting to hear, how do you enter for the chance to win a coil?
Entering is pretty easy. First step is make sure you follow our podcast. If you're already following, then that step's done. If you're not, make sure you click the follow button. Then head over to our XP Team USA Facebook page and look for the contest post that will be put up as this show airs, and simply comment the coil you want to win. So again, just follow the podcast, go to the Facebook site, comment on what coil you want to win, and that'll get you entered.
Yeah, make sure you go over to the XP Team USA Facebook group page, and while this show is airing, I will be posting that designated post. So just get on there and tell us what coil you want after you follow our podcast. And our cutoff notice will be on April 4th at 12 o'clock. The contest will be over, and we will announce it on our podcast on April 5th.
Yeah, it's a great chance to win a great coil, and a reminder, too, that you also have a second chance to win thanks to the coil giveaway hosted by XP Metal Detectors Americas.com. Just visit our Facebook page and look for the post on that for instructions on how to enter.
All right. Well, that's all we got today. And be sure to check us out on our next podcast on the 22nd.
Sounds great. Thanks, Dave. I appreciate your time, and talking to Brian and Andrew. Thank you so much for joining us, and thanks everybody for listening.
Thank you. See you.
Get that permission, put the coil to the soil, and we'll see you next time right here on the XP Team USA podcast.